Hi, hello everyone, back again. I've done a ton of research on what to do with all this large orange peel and got some recommendations like this Frankie, I can't think of his last name, but he does a lot of boat painting and stuff on YouTube. I'll try and post a link or something in the description or maybe right here. He does a lot of painting stuff and he talks about his process, and what they were suggesting was some like 3M acrylic glaze or something like that, or glaze premium or something like that. And I've gone back and forth with Boatworks today, and once again, just to recap, you know, if you hadn't seen the project, this project I've documented it all the way from the very start, so you can see it from the time I cut it out of the paper, cut the cradle out, set, you know, started putting it all to place. I think this will be maybe the 39th or the 40th video. Matter of fact, it was almost 1 year ago today that I actually started cutting out the paper templates. So that was started with paper, you put that on plywood, you mark it, you cut it out, and then assemble all the pieces. So I've done all that, so if you want to check all that out, there's a link to the playlist right here. But so I've gone back and forth between Frankie, Bahong, or something like that. I don't, no disrespect at all, I just can't remember his name. Great videos and very informative. I suggest everybody go check it out. But also with Boatworks today, Andy with Boatworks today, he's done a lot of stuff like this too. And because I'm just now in high build primer, like I haven't gone to my finished primer, I'm going to try and fill these areas primarily with fairing compound. It'll be just a glaze coat. It won't be, there's not really we're not filling a whole lot, we're just kind of glazing over it. These large areas. Now there's some areas in here that I may not mess with at all because they're just, I can just barely feel them, and I'm thinking that you know, by the time we put 3 coats of primer or whatever on here, maybe we'll fill that up and sand it back flat. But we're gonna play that by ear. Once again, we're trying to do the bottom now to make so that we can learn, so that when I get ready to do the sides and all of the boat, that it's a whole lot easier from a process standpoint what to do, and we're not learning on the parts that we want to look the best. So on the bottom here, that's what we're going to do, and I'm going to see how that goes, and if I feel real good about it, you'll see me jump to the sides and go ahead and do the whole boat, you know, transom and everything. But we're just going to do the bottom right now. We're going to put this glaze coat of fairing compound, and we're going to use total fair because, like I said, we hadn't gone to finished primer. Hopefully by the time we go to finished primer, anything we got to fix after that, we may use something else, depending on what it is. We may get some of the acrylic filler as Frankie uses, and you know, we'll see how that works. But I'm going to glaze some fairing compound on here, let it set. It's not 112 degrees yet today, but it's probably 98, so it feels a lot cooler. But the fairing compound should set up pretty fast, so I'm gonna come back and longboard sand that. I'm still gonna longboard sand because I'm still trying to figure some things out. I got some stuff to work out, but we're going to do that and then try and get the finished primer before too long. So let's see what happens. So that was a pretty long explanation trying to catch up. It's been a little while, but getting ready to put this fairing compound down. I just wiped the whole boat down to get all the dust and all off, wiped it down with denatured alcohol, and here you can see I'm mixing really small batches. I talked about it's 97, 98 degrees. So the hotter it is, the quicker your epoxy is going to set up. So this being an epoxy-based fairing compound, just mixed up small amounts, and you can see that I'm putting it in here, and I'm calling this a glaze because you can almost see on the other side there where it's smooth and wet, which kind of gives you a good idea of the shape of the boat. It's pretty smooth, looks pretty good. You can see it right there a little bit too, but you can see I put it on pretty thick, and then I wish I'd have done this from the start. I'd have been a lot farther ahead. All right. So what you can see is I'm kind of going a little faster. Got a little break here. Just wanted to update is I'm kind of getting, you know, the more I do it, the better little handle I'm getting on it. And, you know, I'm mixing really small batches of the total fair over there. And then I'm just skimming it on there as thin as I possibly can. And then when it gets, after a little while, because it's hot, it gets a little thicker like this. So what I'm doing is I'm just stopping and mixing me another little small batch because it's real fluid. But I'm gonna go ahead, you can see how I've got both the bottoms, both sides of the hull done. And I'm gonna come back here and do the sides of the transom and then come back on the other side. But you can see it's going pretty fast. There's a lot of it, and you know, after doing some research, like I said, with Frankie, watching Frankie and some Boatworks stuff, I'm going to come back behind this with a random orbital, and I'm going to hit all these spots again because I think it'll go faster because I won't have to stop as often because of the longboard. I feel like my shape and all is pretty good, so that's what I'm going to do, and we'll see how it goes. Yeah, what I was trying to say is that fairing compound, when you first mix it, it's really fluid. It's really, it's not thick. It's pretty thin, so it goes on really, really thin. So that's all I was trying to say before. But you can see here, just finishing up putting this fairing compound on. I still have a couple of spots along the chine that I'll hit, but overall, it's just worked out pretty well. All right, so we got the whole thing done. Just kind of got that glaze on it, really, really thin. See right here, I mean, you can see through it. So, but I do have all of these pencil marks, so I know that as long as I sand to make those pencil marks go away, I will have sanded kind of through what I needed to, you know, I think, or something like that. Because all that's on, you know, a lot of those pencil marks are on the surface. So at least we'll see how that goes. But I'm gonna actually take my little orbital sandal, my Oro, just battery powered for right now. The other one will be here soon, and I'm gonna go ahead and sand the bottom. So I'm gonna jump on this, and I'm hoping with that orbital, and I'm gonna hook the vacuum to it, it's gonna be a lot neater, and because I won't have to stop, it'll go a lot faster. So I'm gonna try and do an overlap, you know, like a 50% overlap, keep the sander moving, and hopefully that'll show here on time lapse. So here we go. So I've been very reluctant to pull out this random orbital sander, or this one, or the other one, the electric one. This is the only one I had. But you can see where that glaze is kind of on that, where I pulled that fairing compound. You can see how it ends up with a rough, you know, or a buffed finish. And I'm going to talk about it here in a little while, but I actually started having some problems with this sander. With its functioning, but it's still doing a really good job, and it is much easier. It's a lot less physical, and I can continue working. You know, I don't have to stop and rest, and it's not near as burdensome. So working good. All right, another update here, everyone. About right in here, about right where that is right there, where you can see a lot of those pencil marks. So about right in here, that little sander started, for whatever reason, started shocking me. And so then I started kind of noticing that it wasn't rotating. And it, you know, I've had that thing a while and I've used it. So the rotary gear has gone out in it. It still shakes, but the rotary part doesn't work. So about right in here, about right in here forward, you know, it's not as smooth. But I've been very reluctant to use this RO sander, random orbital, and you trying to use that longboard to make sure it was smooth. And I'm glad I waited, but man, is it a lot easier because I can just keep going. And I fully believe once I get an electric one, it'll be a lot better because I won't have battery changing all that out. But you can see that all this total fair has gotten hard, and all these little places in here, like, you know, where we had just a little bit, all of this is just totally smooth now. So all these areas, you know, right in here, I can feel just a little bit where it wasn't sanded properly. But, you know, all of these spots in here that had, you know, so that was like texture you could feel. All of it is super smooth now. So very happy with that. So as soon as I can run to the store, I already know which one I'm gonna get, I think. And as soon as I can get that back here, I'll be able to sand the rest of this and then finish primer. And then we'll go from there. From finish primer, we'll worry about the top coat. But I do think we are ready to go to the next step, and it won't be long now. So hang around. So as you can see here, I got the new random orbital. It's a little Bosch unit because it had a little more power, I guess. And you can see that really white thing on the end of it. That's a foam pad. All these are, I'm using hook and loop, like Velcro type sandpaper and stuff, and this is all 120. You know, here you can see a little bit better, and I've talked earlier about having a 50% overlap. So that means as I make one pass, I overlap 50% of that with the next pass. That way I'm almost kind of hitting it twice. But it also helps to be very thorough, and you can see, you know, I'm taking my time. I got me a stool. I'm comfortable. I'm not pushing a longboard, so you have no idea how happy I am. I still see that damn thing sitting over there underneath that, on top of that yellow, black and yellow box. And I was able to get in here and get after it. And man, the side, it is extremely smooth. So I just have a couple of things left after I finish this sanding, and I've talked about it, is I've got to put the bow eye in because I want to shape that a little bit, and I have to put the strakes on the back. So all that'll be coming. I've actually, you know, I went about a month here again without doing a whole lot, but I'm trying to get back on it. You know, we're under heat advisory every day, you know, right here. This was recent, so it was, you know, it was like 103 degrees outside without the heated decks. So, you know, it's pushing 115 or something. It's nice and warm, but I'm thankful I have shade. The concrete gives me a good platform. So I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna get those strakes in and, you know, try and really take strides here shortly to get this thing painted so we can flip it back over and go to work on the inside. So I appreciate everybody following along. Hit that like button if you don't mind. You know, that helps to get, you know, the more likes, more exposure, just kind of helps me to grow. Kind of see last here, I'm gonna climb up on here with this paper and work on that bow section and that entry, and then that'll be the last thing, and we're gonna keep moving forward.